Today's gospel invites us to pay attention to life's distractions. What seem like distractions can actually be where God is calling us. When our plans don't work out as we want because of what life throws at us, it may not be the disaster that we so often think. It could be an opportunity for something else to happen that we didn't think of, that we didn't plan for, and yet it brings for us and for others many blessings and new horizons. In that gospel, Jesus gave himself fully to the distraction. He had set out with Jairus, the synagogue official, to go and to see his daughter. But something happened, a distraction. Jesus could have kept walking and ignored the woman who touched his clothing. But instead, he reached out to the woman who'd suffered from hemorrhages for 12 years and whose life had become hopeless. And in reaching out to that woman and attending to her, that's what he needed to do at that moment. And by doing that, Jesus was doing God's work. And that initial task that he'd set out to accomplish didn't suffer, because eventually Jairus, the synagogue official, had his daughter restored to him. There are times in all of our lives when we need to embrace the interruptions. And perhaps these last 2 years, there have never been such interruptions to our normal living. And yet, rather than become weighed down or feel hopeless or unable to see a way to achieve what we want, perhaps the invitation is to embrace the interruptions, rather than just put our head down and try and drive on regardless. We can so often misjudge the real work of our lives, because I think we're invited into a deeper appreciation that the interruptions are our work. These last 2 years, this time of profound interruption, what might be asked of us? What are the interruptions inviting from us? How are they inviting us to see things differently? To go to new horizons, to things perhaps we've never thought of. And yet God is in the interruption. And yet for most of us, we've spent the last 2 years complaining. But what is the interruption inviting us to? Because they are inviting us to a deeper appreciation that interruptions are our work, especially when they involve responding with compassion to the needs of others. When we set out on a journey or set out to accomplish something, what happens along the way, along the journey, is often more important and more indicative of life's growth than arriving at the destination. Life's interruptions are an invitation. We need to ask ourselves, to what is God inviting us? And as we make the journey, be attentive to the interruptions, because that's where the grace of God is truly at work, so that we can grow and mature and become the person that God wants us to be, as He leads us evermore to where He calls each one of us.